Welcome to the show, Feyzi. I'm so happy to have you here, particularly given your impressive background in cloud technology space and with your recent Cody Lifetime Achievement Awards. I'm so happy to have you on the show. And I'd like to ask you first, what inspired you to start Current Technology?
Yes, I was inspired by the fact that many years ago when I was in Silicon Valley and HP, we were tasked by coming up with a database that was 10 times faster in data retrieval than Oracle, Informix, and other prevalent databases, a 10x challenge. And myself and four other brilliant engineers, we came up with a database that was 1,000 times faster. And a reporter said, if Chernobyl, the nuclear power plant that melted down in Ukraine many years ago, if they had this database, it would have prevented the meltdown. And that was a big moment in my life. I said technology invention, it's fun and games. It's truly fun, but it has real life implication. So I dedicated my life to technology innovation. As a computer scientist, we got a patent for that database that became the first real-time database that is still after 30 years is the fastest database in the world. It's owned by SAP called SAP HANA. Now, I was lucky to run into Steve Jobs at Stanford around that time, and he inspired me to think even bigger. And I thought for about a decade about what is the next big impact I can make, given my technology and business background. And one thing he left me with after that conversation, and we met multiple times after that, he said, don't major in minor things. That was scary. So I took it seriously. I said, what is that big impact we can make in the tech industry, and not where the buck is, but where the buck is going to be?
Right.
Decided computing will become utility computing, what today we call the cloud. And we said, how would software be impacted by the invention of the cloud? And with that day, it took Salesforce 5 years and 123 million to create their SaaS version of their CRM. And we said, how can we overcome the software of the future, overcome the barriers to the software of the future to be delivered as a service, i.e. SaaS on the cloud? Not everybody has 5 years access to capital, 123 million. And the decision was, let's build an automated platform to enable software to become SaaS, as opposed to manually have to program it for 5 years. Today, there is more technology. According to AWS SaaS Factory, it's 18 months to 36 months to build an efficient, elastic, fully functioning, cost-effective SaaS solution. And with the invention that we made, SaaS Ops, we took it from 18 months to 18 days, sometimes to even 8 days without any programming, enabling SaaS from software to SaaS and shrink that time and effort to a few days rather than years.
And so right now is your core, your main offering, is it more helping people start directly and accelerating the path to first product? Or are you more taking established businesses and helping them migrate into a more SaaS offering from previously completely on-premise solution?
That's a great question. All of the above. Here's one scenario. Boeing and Samsung came to us with established enterprise applications, parts management, logistic management, and we SaaS enabled them in a matter of a few weeks, like 2 to 3 weeks, versus the 2 years they had to spend, millions of dollars they had to spend before, because they were relying on labor. We were relying on a technology, proven technology that's been at work for over 10 years with 143 granted patents. This is invention rather than simply innovation. Now, we have startups who are taking an open source solution and they want to offer it to the world as SaaS. For example, multi-SaaS technologies created by a 20-year-old computer science graduate from UC Irvine turned an existing open source solution called eTicket into AutoTicket and multi-SaaS technology in a matter of 1 or 2 weeks. Established himself as a CEO of a SaaS company, 1 or 2 weeks using SaaS Ops. And we have
Amazing.
everything, these companies, as long as someone has a minimum viable product. In B2B SaaS in a matter of 1 to 2 weeks in a way that is not comparable with the existing multi-billion-dollar SaaS products like
Yeah.
Salesforce, ServiceNow, Workday, but a lot better than them, like having user-based billing that Salesforce have been pitching for years, but to the best of my knowledge cannot deliver today. Same with ServiceNow, same with others. So enable features that multi-billion-dollar SaaS company still cannot offer. You get everything in 1 or 2 weeks, thanks to the power of automation, thanks to the
Certainly.
power of AI, and thanks to the power of being inspired by people like Mark Benioff and Steve Jobs.
Amazing. Amazing story. And I've coached a lot of earlier stage SaaS founders. And the worst scenario that I see sometimes is people will sink 250, 500K into development just to build an early stage MVP. And it just doesn't seem necessary. It's a massive risk to do that. And
Yeah.
I hope more people look towards these kinds of solutions and are able to test the market without dropping so much capital early on. So very happy that this
The
exists.
analogy, it just exactly. We have a startups that they spend $500,000 easily, and said, "Hey, John, I could have done this for you 18 months ago in a week," and they just, in order to help people during the pandemic, Forbes magazine, they have a book division. They approached me. They said, "This is such a disruptive, compelling idea, and its time has come. Why don't you read a book? We want to publish it." And the book is Democratizing SaaS. And the subtitle is Unleashing a Multi-Trillion-Dollar Industry by Empowering a New Generation of SaaS Entrepreneurs. Exactly along the lines of, Michelle, what you just mentioned. And this book, actually, I hear that many top executives at major cloud companies, including AWS, have read this book. Claire Gribben, who runs the worldwide B business for AWS, she was on a podcast with me. I was interviewing her, and she said something dramatically compelling. She said, unlike what people think, that cloud is sufficient for people to build SaaS, that's not the case. Cloud is necessary for SaaS, but not sufficient.
Exactly. Yes.
SaaS.
Exactly.
Cloud is necessary, but not sufficient. I believe 9 out of 10 SaaS CEOs have not received a memo on that.
Yeah.
That's why they're thinking so much money into developing their SaaS. One of our goals, Jean-Michel, is to eliminate the word SaaS development or SaaS developer. They got to be software developers. And then software could be AI agents. Software could be whatever that does a task, but please don't waste your time developing SaaS ops, because no matter what you do, we have something a lot more powerful, better, featureful that you can plug in. Don't try to show
it's the
how
same
smart you are.
in all engineering. There's this idea that you need to roll your own solution. Doesn't matter if it's software or hardware or physics. The common problem that managers are always fighting. One thing I'd love to hear about is, can you tell us a little bit, just juxtapose perhaps getting your first customers at the beginning and versus like how are you growing now?
So getting our first customers, like any serious startup, it's a hand-to-hand combat. For example, getting Boeing after 2.5 years and millions of dollars to try our solution was a big deal. But when we tried it, we were the cover story of Business Monday in Orange County Business Register about what we did. The same thing with Samsung with the logistics solution called Cello. Again, years and millions of dollars we delivered in 3 weeks. And it was hand-to-hand combat. Our CTO had to fly to Seoul, Korea, talk to senior VP of R&D, the CTO at Samsung, and he became a believer. Hand-to-hand combat. Now, in contrast, fast forward, a couple of weeks ago, AWS with a post on LinkedIn, AWS for a startups division. He said, if you want to create a B2B SaaS, use SaaS Ops from Corent, our partner. It's the
Yeah.
fastest, most
Yeah.
effective way. This is AWS talking, not
Yes, it
us.
could be
And
worse for
by the way,
sponsoring you.
yeah, it's a win because the
Mhm.
sooner they become SaaS on AWS, the sooner they start consuming AWS. And to incentivize it, it's not just talk. They added you're eligible to get 100K worth of AWS credit if you use current SaaS ops and become B2B SaaS right away. And instead of spending all this time trying to develop your own SaaS, isn't that amazing?
It is amazing. And so now that you have folks like Amazon promoting you, do you find that your cycle is significantly shorter? Are you able to get people coming into more or less self-serve to try it out, or does it still require after they learn about you, do they still need help from a sales professional to get started?
Great question. So the process of getting us started, if somebody has an open mind and they want to try it for free, it would be 1 or 2 weeks. They would go from software to the most amazing SaaS. 95% of their revenue is profit. It's automated. So their margin would grow significantly. However, the bottleneck is not the technology. The bottleneck is the mindset. A lot of people somehow
Yeah.
has come to the conclusion that making a software SaaS would take 1 to 3 years, millions of dollars, and our value proposition is too good to be true.
Yeah.
However, in order to overcome that, Jean-Michel, we just approved a 90-day money back guarantee, risk free. Just try it. If you don't
Nice.
like it, give your money back if
This
you
is
move forward. So completely made it a no-brainer, if I may say so. We'll see how that goes. But we have eliminated the technology product barrier. And we have example after example on LinkedIn. If you search our LinkedIn under hashtag democratizing SaaS, customer after customer, Gen AI after Gen. The Gen AI company, why should you waste your time writing subscription management, metering, monitoring, monetizing, all those elements, user-based billing? Focus on your genius AI application. That's where your value is,
right. Yeah.
not on how you offer subscription, etc., etc. People are slowly getting it, and the AWS support is phenomenal. By the way, Microsoft was a pioneer a few years ago and published the ebook with us, which are on our website. It's called A New Path to SaaS. This is Microsoft and Coran, now AWS and Coran, and IDC, the major research firm, recently published a paper that the way of the future for SaaS is plug into a platform, automation, SaaS automation platform, rather than building it brick by brick.
Yeah. And I love that you said that the mindset is the slowest thing to change. And it's really fun in technology. You can easily change technology, but people and do take some time to catch up.
Look at the story behind VMware. VMware invented virtualization. Virtualization is a foundation of the cloud. It turns one computer that before only could handle one application. Can you imagine that? 25 years ago, one server could handle one application only.
Yeah.
And then VMware said, we can virtualize it into 10 computers or 20 computers, the same one investment you made in a computer. And people weren't believing them. They couldn't get traction until EMC announced we have acquired VMware. They didn't touch anything. The CEO was still a CEO, engineers, everybody was the same, but there was one piece of paper announced it. Everybody started using VMware.
Yeah.
All those concern about performance, security went away because psychologically they felt safe, as opposed to,
Yes.
wow, what an amazing technology, we got to use it. It's amazing how human mind works.
Yeah. True. This has been fascinating, Feyzi. And before we wrap up, what are you most excited for Corinth's future in 2025?
What am I most excited about is to impact most lives and livelihood, truly democratize SaaS. That is the vision. That's why I committed to Steve Jobs, that I will follow this idea and inspiration and we make it happen. I want to see more young people to become business owners, to become entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurship is not only an economic model, I believe it changes people's lives for better. they become leaders. They become not just an employee collecting a paycheck. They become people who make things happen. They influence other people's lives. And this way, what I'm hoping that this SaaS ops would be a game changer for many different people, their lives, their inspiration, and their goodwill towards the society.